My child, you held on for so long. Longer than others could see, longer than even you thought possible. You didn't collapse, you slowly wore down. Inside, everything grew quieter. Not from peace, but from depletion, from having no ground left to stand on. You didn't choose exhaustion. It became the background, not as weakness, but as survival. And I saw it, not as distance, not as failure. I saw how you kept going when there was nothing left. I didn't judge you. I didn't ask you to pull yourself together. I stayed. Not when you felt strong again, but when you had nothing left to give. That wasn't the end. It was the beginning. You thought stopping meant you failed. You thought tiredness was a flaw, but I say it was the soil where the old stopped growing, and in that same soil I began preparing something new. You didn't know it, but I was already at work. Because real healing doesn't start after the fall, it begins inside it, when everything on the outside grows still, and the first breath returns within. You're hearing this now for a reason. It means you haven't failed. You've reached a new season. You don't need to pull yourself together. You can remain just as you are. I'm not asking you for a heroic act. I'm growing strength in you, slowly, with love, from the depth of your weariness. You kept looking back at who you used to be, at the version of yourself that had more energy, more clarity, more certainty. You wanted to return to that place, to the one who seemed to know how to carry everything. But I'm not leading you backward. I'm not restoring the old. I'm building something new, something stronger. I'm not asking you to become the person you were. I'm not rebuilding your former shape. I'm shaping something deeper, a quieter strength, a softer rhythm, a stability that doesn't rely on effort but on presence. The kind of presence where you no longer have to perform. You just exist, and it's enough. This new strength doesn't rush. It doesn't prove. It holds. It lets you rest, even when nothing outside has changed. You're learning not to return to how you coped. You're learning to be without running. And in that stillness, something is forming. Not because you're pushing, because you're allowing. You don't need to name it. You don't need to understand how it's happening. Just breathe. Don't force. Don't reach back for the old rhythm. It no longer fits. I'm not leading you in circles. I'm leading you forward, through rest, through silence, through the kind of care that grows slow but lasts forever. You didn't notice the moment it began. There wasn't a big shift or a clear sign. But one day, something inside felt slightly softer. Not in your body, not in your schedule. Deeper. A quiet warmth where there used to be only tension or numbness. You can't explain it. But it's there. I didn't arrive with a loud miracle. I came like breath. Like warmth that doesn't demand anything. Not to wake you with power, but to bring life back gently. This wasn't an event. It was a presence. I've already started something in you. And it didn't need your awareness to begin. What was frozen didn't die. It waited for a safe place to melt. I've been creating that place in you, moment by moment, patiently, tenderly, through stillness. And now that you've stopped trying to feel something specific, you're beginning to feel something real. You don't need to do anything with this yet. You don't need to turn it into purpose or momentum. Just stay close to it. What thawed inside you, that was me. Not as a demand, but as care. You didn't cause it. You received it. And that's how renewal begins. Quietly, deeply, without pressure. You pushed past your limits for a long time. You kept moving when everything inside begged you to stop. You didn't know how to slow down, or didn't feel allowed. Your body kept going. Your will kept holding. Everything except peace felt possible. But inside, the quiet wasn't rest. It was collapse. And I saw it. I didn't call your silence a failure. I didn't treat your stillness as absence. I took it as a cry. The kind of cry that has no words left. The kind that says, I can't anymore. And I heard it, not through noise, through the quiet. I entered that silence, not with demands, but with presence. I remained where everything else shut down, so that healing could begin from within. I'm not rushing you, because I know how long you've been tired. What's been tense won't relax on command. What closed down won't open in an instant. And I will never force that. I'll stay. I'll wait. I'll continue to create a space safe enough for your soul to breathe again, even if it takes time. You may not feel anything happening, but I am already working. I don't heal from a distance. I move from within. Even in moments that feel empty, I'm restoring. You don't need to do more. You don't need to earn it. I'm already here. And I'm building something inside you that pressure could never create. Only love. You may feel something is changing, but you're not sure what it is. You don't have clarity. You don't feel inspired. There's no motivation rushing in. And part of you wonders, am I supposed to do something now? Am I missing a moment? But no, you're not missing anything. I'm not asking for a response. I'm already moving inside you. Even if you still feel empty, even if your thoughts are slow, even if your heart is quiet, I'm not waiting for your readiness. I'm present now. I don't require full awareness for restoration to begin. I don't wait for emotional clarity. I begin when you let go, and you've let go, simply by stopping. You can be slow, you can feel nothing, you can wonder if you care at all. That doesn't disqualify you, it invites me. Because I'm not working through your effort, I'm working through your honesty, through the part of you that no longer wants to pretend or push or perform. I do my best work in the places where you feel the least capable. You don't have to return to life all at once. You don't have to name what's happening. Just know this: if you feel even a small shift inside, then it's already begun, and I will carry it. Not because you'll make it happen, but because I've chosen to finish what I started in you. You thought restoration would come like a push. Sudden, strong, obvious. You waited for a spark to wake something in you. But it came differently. Not as a jolt, but as a softness. It started the moment things grew quieter inside. The moment you stopped expecting something loud and noticed something kind. I don't force you into healing. I build an environment around you where it can grow. I don't rush you forward. I make room for you to breathe. I don't demand progress. I restore peace. And when peace returns, even silently, your soul begins to stir. Not because it's told to, but because it feels safe again. You don't need to be ready. You don't need to show results. My work in you isn't about proving anything. It's about inviting you to exist in an atmosphere where you don't have to earn rest, where you don't have to force yourself to feel better, where healing happens simply because it's finally allowed. You are not becoming yourself again through effort. You are becoming yourself again because you've stopped resisting my presence. And in that space, the quiet space, your soul is starting to breathe. That is not weakness. That is life returning. And life is always enough. Something inside has shifted, not dramatically, but gently. A layer has softened. A place that was numb now feels faintly alive. You don't know why, you can't explain how, but you know, something moved, something returned. And it wasn't you who caused it. It was me. You don't have to do anything with it right now. Don't rush toward it. Don't try to make it grow. Just notice it. Let it stay without turning it into a task. The fact that you can feel again, even slightly, that's a miracle. Not the kind that explodes, but the kind that takes root. This isn't about responding with action. It's about staying with the sensation, letting what's begun become steady. You're not falling behind by being still. You're giving what's fragile time to strengthen. Let that first breath of warmth rest inside you, and don't demand more from it yet. I started this not as a breakthrough, but as a return to the living parts of you that never fully died. They only froze. And now that the thaw has begun, I'll be the one to see it through. You don't have to rush it. You only need to stay close. I'm here, and what began will continue because I'm the one who started it. When something in you began to feel again, your first thought was that you'd need to act, that now was the time to get up, move forward, make something happen. But that's not what I'm asking. I'm not calling you into motion. I'm calling you into awareness, into presence. Recovery isn't about resuming activity. It's about reclaiming your ability to simply be. You don't need to run back to the version of yourself that worked so hard to survive. I'm not bringing you there. I'm bringing you into a slower strength, a quieter kind, the kind that's not based on pace, but on peace. There's nothing to prove, nothing to push, nothing you're missing by pausing. The healing is in the pause, in the space where you don't strive but feel, in the moments when you're not productive but present. That's where strength grows now, not from energy, from rootedness. So stay slow. Let your senses return. Let your body rest. Let your soul adjust to the softness of simply existing without pressure. This isn't a delay, this is the restoration, and I'm right here in it, not watching, but holding every breath of stillness like it's sacred, because it is. Sometimes you thought this was just something your body was figuring out. That rest would come naturally, in time. That lightness would return simply because the weight had been too much. But that's not the full truth. I've been here, not beside your recovery, but inside it. You didn't need to name it. I wasn't waiting for awareness or permission. While you felt nothing, I was placing peace. While your senses dulled, I was laying stillness. That silence you assumed meant absence. It was me, breathing near you, not to disturb, but to calm, not to stir you up, but to let you rest deeply enough to be changed. You may have believed that recovery was your task, something to work through, to manage. But it's not. It's something I'm doing in you, something that doesn't depend on your energy or your awareness. Even when you pause, even when you stop completely, I continue. You are not doing this alone. You never were. Even when your thoughts were quiet, even when you couldn't pray, even when you didn't care, I remained. I still do, and I will carry the parts of your healing that are too heavy to name. I'm not asking you to help me, I'm asking you to let me. You may be afraid this warmth won't last, that what's softened will go hard again, that what's waking up will fall back asleep. But I tell you, no, this is not a flicker, it's not a passing moment. What has come alive in you is here to stay. I don't start something in you only to let it fade. I don't give life just to take it back. I'm not letting this go. What's growing in you now didn't come from pressure. It came from presence. And presence sustains. Even on the days when you feel nothing. Even in the silence. You may still doubt. That's okay. Weariness doesn't vanish all at once. But even so, something irreversible has begun. Something warm, steady, deep. It doesn't require certainty. It doesn't ask you to keep it alive. Because I'm the one who planted it. And I'll be the one to guard it. You don't need to hold onto it tightly. You only need to remember, if it's warmer inside than it once was, something real is unfolding, and I will carry it through. This isn't a fragile return, it's a rooted one. You're not going in circles. You're being drawn forward, into life, with me. You imagined strength would return like fire, suddenly, boldly, with power. You waited for the moment you'd rise, take a deep breath, and feel ready again. But instead, something quieter has come. Not a rush, not a wave, but a grounding. A deep, steady weight that holds you, even when you feel nothing holding yourself. This is not the kind of strength that pushes you into movement. This is the kind that lets you remain. You don't have to rush. You don't have to respond. You don't have to prove anything. There's a base forming beneath your feet, even if you're still sitting still. It's not energy, it's presence. It's me holding you from within. I'm not giving you a burst that will pass. I'm giving you roots that will hold. Not with noise, not with force, but with the kind of consistency that remains when everything else shifts. You no longer have to chase clarity or push forward just to feel alive. Now, you begin to sense that being here, even quietly, is strength in itself. This isn't a return to what you were. It's a settling into who you are becoming. A version of you that doesn't need to carry everything to be worthy. A you that can breathe deeply, pause fully, speak slowly, and know you're not losing time. You're building something stable, something true. I am not asking you to rise, I am anchoring you deeper, and the deeper you go, the less you'll need to search, the more you'll simply know you are being restored from the inside out. Not just to stand again, but to stay whole. You didn't return to who you were before. You didn't need to. What you walked through didn't break you. It reshaped you. You're not the same, and that's not a loss. That's the sign of healing. Not a return to an old pattern, but the emergence of something whole. You're no longer holding yourself together. You are simply held. Now when you're quiet, it isn't from collapse. It's from clarity. You're not bracing for another crash. You're standing on something steadier. You've stopped asking when you'll feel normal again, because something in you knows. This is the new strength. A strength that doesn't rise in a rush, but settles like roots in deep soil. You're no longer holding yourself together. You are simply held. Now when you're quiet, it isn't from collapse. It's from clarity. You're not bracing for another crash. You're standing on something steadier. You've stopped asking when you'll feel normal again. You're breathing differently, slower, freer. You're listening to yourself with more gentleness. You're not pushing to feel better. You're noticing what already is better, not because you forced a recovery, but because I stayed. You've arrived in yourself, not as someone repaired, but as someone restored. You're not on the edge anymore. You're home in your own soul. And that stillness you now feel, it's not just rest. It's the voice of healing that no longer needs to be loud to be real. You're no longer reaching for a moment to define your healing. You're no longer waiting for a flash of energy to confirm that you're whole, because something deeper has settled, something lasting. It doesn't need to announce itself. It simply holds you, moment by moment, breath by breath. I didn't bring you back to how things used to be. I brought you into something better, not more impressive, more grounded, not more productive, more present. You no longer need to explain how you made it through. You don't have to describe the process. The only thing that matters is this. You are breathing differently. You are moving differently. You are becoming someone who lives with me, not through effort, but through rest. This restoration is not temporary. It's not a peak you'll slide down from. It's a foundation you'll keep standing on, even when days are difficult, even when questions return, even when life stretches you again. What's changed will stay changed, because it came from me. You're not finished, but you are whole. Not because everything's clear, but because you're no longer fragmented inside. You're no longer trying to prove you're healed. You're just living, slowly, freely, honestly. And that life, this quiet, rooted, sacred life, is the fruit of love that never left you. I didn't heal you once. I remained. And because I remained, you're still here, alive, steady, held. Not the same, but finally, truly home.